Anyways, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Agency Alliance and talking about hiring and firing and all those wonderful things when it comes to employees and contractors and everything in running a digital agency. So, my name is Maggie Benson. I am the CEO and founder of Agency Alliance, and I've been bringing you these Facebook Lives for the last couple of weeks. Going forward, I'm going to move them to Fridays. I think that just works better in my personal schedule. But I do enjoy doing them, and if you have any questions that you want me to answer, burning questions, do send me either a private message, or you can email me at info@agencyalliance.ca, and I'm happy to do a Q&A on it. So today we're going to talk about, from the perspective of the contractor, is how to determine if the employer that you're, from the perspective of interviewing with them, is one of the good ones. Because let's be honest, not every employer is the same. I'm going to move this just a little bit. And when I was asking for content ideas in some of the VA groups that I'm in, one of the things that came up over and over again was the employers, and I use air quotes, the employers on places like Upwork are cheap, they don't give good instruction, they disappear on you, like all this kinds of stuff. And the irony is, if you ask the employers, they say the same thing. The quality of work is crappy, the contractors disappear on me, they want to get paid. Like it's like the exact same story on both sides of the equation. And I'm trying to bridge that gap through these. So we know, let's just be honest, not every employer is the same. That's just how it is. There are some crappy employers out there. That's unfortunate. Sometimes you're going to get burned. You can try to do your due diligence, but it's going to happen. But hopefully with some of the things that I mentioned today, you can try to be a little bit more discriminatory, which is a really bad word, but choosier might be a better terminology when it comes to, working with employers and working with other agencies. So when you apply for a position with any agency, go in with the mindset that you are interviewing them as much as they are interviewing you. And I think that's really, really important. Especially if you are a professional, which I'm going to assume you are, in order to let's be honest, to get paid the best that you need to be paid, you need to be good at what you do, but you also need to be a professional. So those soft skills are just as important as the hard skills. So when you are talking to a potential employer, make sure that you are, air quote, interviewing them as much as they are interviewing you, because you want it to be a successful relationship for the long term. That's the key. So do your homework first so that you minimize the number of issues down the line. So as an applicant, I made some notes of some things that you can look for when you're going through this process. So the first thing that comes to mind is, how organized are they? Are they specific in what they want in the contract, or are they vague, saying they just need help? The more organized they are, the easier it will be to do your job. Think of it this way: if they are organized with the interview process, with their questions that they're being asked, with the details in the job description, chances are they will provide that same level of organization when they assign you tasks and give you instructions on how to do the work. It all ties together. If they are all over the place with their interview, they are all over the place when it comes to doing the project management. That will be stressful for everybody. I'm not saying that they do it, that the agency does it intentionally. Sometimes it's just their weakness, and what they need to be doing is hired on project manager. But even then, the project manager should be the one doing the posting and the interviewing, or director of operations. So that's something to keep in mind. the more organized they are, the probably easier they're going to be to work for. Do they haggle on your wages? This is a soft spot because sometimes the contractors bloat their wages. So you have to be mindful. You have to be mindful of what the industry standard is, and what your value is, and what the value is that you bring to the agency. Some agencies are just cheap, and they will always try to haggle you. And I don't like that. I like to pay appropriately, but I also won't overpay. So there's a fine line here. If they're really trying to haggle your wages, chances are that they might be a pain in the butt down the road when you say, you know, I need a raise, I deserve a raise, XYZ, I've been here for 3, 6, 12 months. They might be more of a pain in the butt, and that usually leads to a disgruntled contractor. So it's not really something I encourage. Again, I don't want to overpay for a contractor, but I'm also not going to mess with their money, because an unhappy contractor, unhappy employee will lead to unhappy work. So it's a very sensitive subject. Is their website reputable? They could be just starting out, which is totally fine. But ask them for their URL. Do some research on them. Go onto their social media, which I will talk about next. Don't just assume that because they're looking for help that they know what they're doing. You want to look for and work for professionals that are good at what they do. And keeping in mind that most marketers, myself included, leave our marketing for the very last. Like, it is the last thing we do and the last thing we think of. But everybody should still have a rough setup of a website. So then going into number 4, which is their social media. How often are they posting? Do they have reviews? They have good reviews, bad reviews? Because you want, if you're a professional, you want to work for the good guy. Don't go after positions just because you need the money. Well, if you need the money, you need the money. But we're trying to raise the game here. So go, you know, they should have some posting, some comments, some follows. Nothing crazy. Like, marketing agencies don't get a lot of followers. We just don't. Unless you're a leader like Neil Patel with other marketers following you. But for the most part, most marketers don't have huge followings, when that's fine. That's just kind of the nature of the game. But check them out. Check them out on LinkedIn. Check them out and, you know, check their social media out. See how you feel about it. And then that leads me into number 5, which is to ask to talk to their other employers. Just like they can ask you to talk to your other employers, you can ask to talk to their other employees. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, if someone came to me and said, can I talk to somebody else that works for you? I'd be like, yeah, sure, because I have nothing to hide. So if you want to come in and ask those kinds of questions, it actually raises the bar and tells me you take this seriously. So that can actually help set you apart during the interview process. So always make sure that you do your research when talking to future employers, because it will minimize future headaches, such as poor communication, poor project definitions, poor payment habits, etc. So if you want to raise the bar as a contractor, as a freelancer, as an employee, you need to behave just as high of a professional. And think of it think about it from this perspective. If someone is interviewing for Google or Facebook or any of the big, Fortune 100s, the top guys are interviewing just as much as their, the applicants are interviewing just as much, because they usually have other opportunities, but they're also very picky and they know what they want. So it is a two-way street. Don't be afraid to have that open conversation with the employer. I have to think sometimes employer, employee. So hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully that you enjoy that. I do post all of these on other social media, so if you miss this or whatever, you can catch it either on the replay on our Facebook. Be sure to follow, like, comment on our Facebook page, Agency Alliance, so that you can get future videos, future Facebook Lives. I try to do these weekly, but I will probably take the Christmas holidays off. But I do try to do these weekly, and just try to get some more content out there and do a little bit of my own marketing. So hopefully you found that interesting, and feel free to give us a shout out if you did. Thanks, everyone.